What's up, friends of the internet? Welcome back to the Jube tube. So today I'm going to be going over Destiny 2. Now, for many of you, you're going to be like, this is 2 weeks old. Why are you doing a review now? Everybody's already done a review. You're late to the game. I completely understand that, but I still wanted to make this for two reasons. One, I still have friends who are on the fence about Destiny, so I want to make this video for all the people who have yet to pull the trigger. I myself didn't play a lot of Destiny 1, so I was actually on the fence, but it was my friends who played online that I watched them play in the beta, and they convinced me to buy it. So now I'm going to do the same for them because I think that it's definitely worth it. Second thing is, a lot of people make reviews without actually playing the full game. We see that time and time again of people who are not actually into maybe that kind of video game, or they play a few hours and they give a full review. I've given first impressions, but then I give full reviews after I play the full game. This is a game to where I don't think I could have given a first impression. I wanted to, but I didn't for several reasons. One of that is the game is so massive. There are so many things to do, and if I would have done a first impressions video, especially not playing the first one, I don't think I would have done it justice. And with some games like Hellblade, an hour into it is actually a significant chunk. A fighting game like Pokken Tournament that I did before, an hour is a very sufficient time to definitely give a fighting game a chance and to really work the system around and get a feel for it before, going really in depth. This was not that case. I feel you need to really invest to give a full, accurate review, which is what I did. And with someone like me, many people are like me, hashtag dad life, I don't have a lot of time to play, so I play when I can. I finally beat the story last night. I'm at level 20, and I'm starting to do the grind so I can do raids and all that stuff, but I've got an everyday life. So I didn't want to rush this. I wanted to give it the time that it deserved and give everybody who's going to watch this video a real in-depth analysis of what I think. What I learned from doing my review last time is that it was very long-winded. I like to talk a lot. So I'm going to give a lot of you who like quick videos, just a quick 1 to 2 minute, yes, no, it was good, and then get into detail so that if you want to, you can head out of here, hit that subscribe button though, and that like, and share it with your friends though. Then you can go about your way, and then I'll get into depth for all those who are interested. First things first, regardless of if you think it's good or it's bad or you have complaints, and I've got both, compliments and complaints, this game is so much fun. That's what it comes down to. And that to me is the selling point. There's so many things to do. You're constantly jumping around planets and missions and shooting things, and it's just the entire time I was having so much fun. And I played by myself. I played with random people on a planet I'd never met in my entire life. I streamed on Twitch and chatted with people who had played a little further than me and filled me in. And it's like I had such an experience because so many people are invested in this game that I could really pick and choose what I wanted to do. And that night, if I wanted to go do public missions with a lot of people, I can go do that and have a lot of fun. If I just want to focus on leveling up my character and do story missions or side quests, I can go do that. And I was just free to do whatever I wanted. It was like an open galaxy game, not an open world game. You know what I mean? And it was just so much fun, and everything was set up so nicely. Now again, I didn't play a lot of Destiny 1, so I have no frame of reference. A lot of people had complaints about how Destiny 1 worked and how Destiny 2 fixed a lot of those things. I can't speak to that. All I can speak to is that the system was set up very, very well, and again, I enjoyed myself a lot. How the missions were set up, how the weapons were set up. The story I thought was pretty good. There's something that I would compare it to, and that is playing Halo when those first came out, 1, 2, those, and how much fun everybody had and how in-depth you got in those games. It has that feel. It's Bungie, right? But I'm really just talking about the fun, the running around and the sci-fi aspect, the space first-person shooter. And then take all the good aspects of Borderlands and toss that in. That's how I kind of take this. You've got a really well thought out, well polished first-person shooter in space, in the future, and then you've got this loot, weapon hunting, armor hunting system that I really, really enjoyed, and I loved Borderlands. So for me, that grinding for a better weapon and better stats and better perks to these guns and elemental effects and all this, that, and the other, I really liked doing that. And who didn't like Halo back in the day? We all know it fell off, but we won't talk about that here. Rest in peace. we all loved Halo. So you take those great elements, and it's a wonderful marriage of just a fun game. Now I'm going to get into depth. I don't know what else you guys want to know as far as the basic thing is, but it's fun. The weapon system is great. The armor system matches the weapon system, so it's great. Story I thought was good. Everything was well flushed out. That's that. I'm going to dive into the story. I'm going to dive into some things I didn't like and go from there. I'm just going to go from where I started and chop it up into pieces as I go so you guys can kind of get the full gist of everything that I did in this game and why I liked it or maybe didn't like it. The first thing is my first complaint. My first complaint about this is that I felt that the makers of this game almost took for granted that everybody playing Destiny 2 played Destiny 1. Now that may be a little rash or a little, escalated of a feeling, but there were several times that, like I said, if I was streaming, I would ask someone in the chat a question because I didn't understand what it meant. Or, I thought there were vendors, like actual shops that I could go to, not that the people who were in charge of the missions of every planet were the people that you got weapons from, and that, dismantling your weapons gave you currency to go buy better stuff when you talk to them next, and there was all these things that I just really didn't understand. You could figure out the missions, you figure out the loot system, you can figure out that, and enemies give you loot boxes and finishing missions and yada yada. You can figure that stuff out, but there were basic elements of the game that I thought were not explained very well. So I got confused early in just some of the basics of the game. I do say that was a complaint, but because of how the game was set up, a lot of that stuff I had to discover, and I was able to do so, besides the rare case where I had to ask somebody, and that was purely because I didn't want to go find it out. They were there. Why would I not just ask them? They know the answer to this. I would have to go discover it, and so it was fun to discover those things. I had a good time doing so. I had fun figuring those things out, but it was a little frustrating at times to feel stuck in a basic element of the game. I don't know what the best solution for that would have been. I'm not a huge fan of the really in-depth tutorials or onboarding, but I'm a big fan of the onboarding when it's necessary. And there were some alerts that would pop up at the bottom and explain things, and I potentially skipped through some things quickly and maybe glanced over something that they told me. I admit that is a possibility, but there are still basic things that I don't feel like were ever addressed, and you had to either discover them or you just knew them from Destiny 1. For example, when I spawned to my first planet, there's just an area where public events and just hordes of enemies come. I thought by going to the planet, I was already in my mission. So I sat there for 5 to 10 minutes with 3 other players just shooting these enemies because I thought that's what I needed to do, until I looked around on my map and saw that, no, that's not at all what you're supposed to do. Move on. The silver lining to that is I was able to get, loot, and I got experience, and, so there was some payoff. But again, I thought that's what I was supposed to do, so I just sat there forever. So it was little things like that again, didn't really ruin my experience, but I was just thrown into the wolves and tried to figure it out. So again, it's not really a negative, but it is a thought. Again, as far as the story goes, I know some people complained about the story in the first one. I wasn't there, again, as I've mentioned several times, but I thought this one was pretty good. I thought it was a solid story. I did the side missions a lot of the time, so the story at times felt kind of disconnected just because I would go do other stuff and then come back and be like, oh, that's what's going on, that's right. So I really don't have any major complaints. I thought it ended very well. I thought the final boss was pretty solid. For a first-person shooter, sometimes some of the bosses and mini bosses and things like that are just bullet sponges. They just take hit after hit, and they just stand there and they fire a heavy weapon at you, and you're just running around like a chicken with your head cut off trying not to die. And I really don't feel that's how this was. There were times where I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying not to die, but that's because he was constantly moving around. He was changing what he was doing. There were phases to the fight. He wasn't just standing still. There were elements to it, and then enemies were coming out. So there were many different things that you had to watch, you had to pay attention to, And I'm not going to give anything away of, gameplay. I'll put up a video later if you want to watch it, but I won't get into that now. But I felt it was well-rounded. I felt that it was a good boss. So I had no complaints with that. I thought the story was pretty good. I will say this, spoiler alert, skip ahead 20 seconds. I got attached to the farm. So when we went back to the tower at the end of the game, when everything was resolved, I know that's where we were for Destiny 1, so you Destiny 1 fans are like, oh, we're back to the tower, this is awesome. I started to love the farm. I want to go back to the farm. I'm going to talk about one more thing that I didn't like and one more thing that I liked and try to wrap this review up. So the thing that I did not like and that actually really irritates me about the game is the shader system. Now, as I understand it, in Destiny 1, shaders were they were for everything, all of your items, and they were for a lifetime. In Destiny 2, you get them at like 3 or 4 or 5 at a time, and they're one-time uses. When people were talking about this in videos, podcasts, and things like that, when they first came out, because they grinded real hard and got those shaders that I didn't get for 2 weeks, they were complaining about this. A lot of people were complaining about this. I honestly didn't think it would be that big of a deal, and I even understood, based on their complaints, how this was going to act. And I still hate it. Basically, what Destiny is all about, for maybe those of you who have not played, and folks like me who are on the fence, haven't bought it yet, and don't really know how it works, the way that I understand it, the way that Borderlands was, that again, that's what I'm relating it to, and I very much feel that's how Destiny 1 was, is that you are constantly changing what you have. Therein lies the problem. If you would hold on to a piece of armor or a weapon, even for a few hours, then this wouldn't be that big of a deal. I literally, last night, I think I played for 2.5 hours, changed my guns and armor numerous times. And actually, at one point, I put a shader I really liked on a chest piece and changed it just a few minutes later. Because I was like, this is a great chest piece. I don't change these a lot. I should be fine. I was not fine. I changed it literally minutes later. The next time I got a loot drop, a better chest piece was in there. And I'm not going to not have that better chest piece just because I used a shader here. Now, to get these shaders again, you decode engrams or you can use silver to buy them. And it's gambling with the engrams, and you don't know if they're going to be selling that specific shader ever again. So it is very, very unfortunate that this is the way that it is. I don't understand this. Okay, I do understand this. Money. Everybody's doing microtransactions. And if you want to get them, buy them. From a business aspect, I get it. For the players aspect, it's bad. Everybody's doing it. I understand that, but it's not fun. It takes the fun out of it. So I actually have several shaders I think are really cool right now that I'm not using because I don't have a lot of them. And I'm waiting until I get to a really high level to where the likelihood of getting better things goes down, each better weapon that I get. So when I get to level like 280, like some of these people, I might start applying more shaders, right? Because then I will probably slow down, create another character, or go from there. So I won't be changing the shaders as much. Right now, I'm in the grinding stage where I'm constantly doing other missions and strikes and all this stuff to try to get better loot, better gear. So I'm going to be changing a lot, so these shaders hold no weight. I don't want to apply them to something to immediately lose them. I do not like that system. And that is actually very frustrating, and that part of the game I don't like at all. A lot of people have talked about it, but I've got to put it in here if I'm going to be honest. I said that I really like the game. There's some other aspects I thought were kind of like, could have been better. This is just straight up bad. It's not good. I don't like how they set that up. Even if it was for everything one time, I would feel much better about it, I think. Because what you end up doing is you've got a helmet, a chest piece, gauntlets, boots. Then you've got your kinetic weapon, your energy weapon, your power weapon, your ghost. So you've got a lot of things that you can apply these shaders to, right? You get them 3 or 4 at a time, like I said, maybe 5 in some rare cases. You can't put it on everything. So it's a one-time use. You can't put it on everything. It's frustrating. If you gave me 2 or 3 of those shaders and it applied to everything, I would feel better because then I could deck out my Guardian in that color scheme that I really like. But here I can't do that. I literally spend time, because I like art, as you can tell. I spend time trying to find color palettes that I like rather than full schemes. There was a time where I would find like what colors went together so I could apply something to the chest piece and the legs and the boots and apply something different to my gauntlets and my mask. I also forgot the scarf. That's one more item. I was a hunter, so I've got a scarf. That also can get color on it. There's all these items, and I'm literally like picking and choosing these different things to make a different scheme, and it's annoying. It's added cognitive load to this. I don't want to think about this. I don't want to. I want to go think about weapons. I want to go plan strikes. I want to go plan raids. I want to go do that stuff. I don't want to think about my shaders. That was a long rant. Okay, positive thing about the game. A lot of people have fire teams. A lot of people have clans. A lot of people have these groups that they can get together with and go play. I personally don't have that, and I don't feel like I've missed out on a lot. I have missed out on the good stuff. I will admit that. However, after I beat the story last night, I literally spent 2 hours on the same planet with 4 other people, 5 other people, I can't remember how many it was, I had never met, who we would do a public mission together. We'd beat it. We'd scatter, go shoot things for 5-7 minutes until another one came up, come back, do that. And that's what we did. And it was so much fun. I don't know who these players were. I'll never see them again in my life. But in that moment, we came together, we completed these missions, and it was so much fun. And that may have been the most fun I've had in the game, was to be on that planet with those people I've never met, just wrecking stuff, doing these missions together, getting loot crates. It was so much fun. That aspect of the game was a lot of fun. And the fact that you can just jump in on those public events with these people you've never met so that you don't have to have a fire team for these strikes, I think is brilliant. Again, that may have been in Destiny 1. I just know here that this was fantastic. A lot of the times when I was doing story missions or side quests or moving through that progression, there would be a public event going on, and I would always stop and help whoever was doing that public event. And there were times, I think once or twice, where it was me and one other player, and we were overwhelmed, and we kept having to revive each other because it was so intense. But those moments were so much fun, just connecting with those people. During the last mission, I and another player were both trying to finish the storyline at the same time, and we were ending up in the same spot. And it wasn't public events, but we were running through this together, and it was so much fun to do that. And that public aspect of the game was so much fun. I haven't had that kind of fun in online play of just randomness in a game like this. I don't think at all. It was a different experience for me just to have that, right? You've got the racing games where you can just randomly race people on the road when you've got the open world Need for Speed and stuff like that. That's completely different. You're competing. This is randomly coming together to cooperate out of nowhere. And that's what I really enjoyed, is that it's like I wasn't trying to seek this person out and go after them and shoot them. I was finding this person being like, hey, there's a public event over here, or hey, there's this like little mini boss character that if we kill him, we get a loot box. You want to go do it? That was so much fun. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. I haven't gotten into the raids yet. I actually am going to do that this weekend for the first time, getting into all those nightfalls and the strikes and the raids and all that stuff, and I'm very excited to get into that as well. I know I didn't touch on any of that now, so I don't know if you can call this a full review, and some of you will probably say that. But for what I've played, I felt this was a very in-depth review. I don't know what else to say other than buy this game. It's so much fun. If you're really heavy into multiplayer online, you're gonna have a lot of fun. If you're one of those people that just enjoys the environment and first-person shooters in this genre, and you just want to play by yourself, you can 100% just be by yourself and still be very successful and have a lot of fun in this game. I highly recommend you go buy it, try it out. I don't think you're going to be disappointed at all if this is your cup of tea. Alright guys, let me know in the comments below what you think of the game, if there's anything I missed. If there's something negative that you think about the game, let me know. I couldn't think of more than the 2 things that I came up with, and one I don't even really think is a negative. I love this game. If you liked what you saw, definitely give me a like. Hit that little subscribe button that's somewhere down here when my face gets in the circle. And just click that. Share it with your friends. Share it with the world. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see y'all again next time.